to our top story. A senior municipal official has been gunned down at a water distribution facility north of Durban. Dassen Thatia is on the scene to give us all those details. Dassen, a tragic event taking place at a point where help is supposed to be administered to community members. Can you give us a little bit more detail about the circumstances of this tragic incident?
That's right. I've been spending the last few minutes since we got here just trying to get a few more details. But as you can imagine, especially since this is such a fresh incident, very few people are willing to speak. So what's happening behind me right now is the scene has been opened up again. The cordon has been taken down. But I want to talk to you through what we've established for now. So the initial reports that we received and the information that we received indicates that the woman, the official, she's 36 years old. She was quite a senior official here at this eThekwini municipality, Ottawa depot. It's a depot for water and sanitation, and this is where tankers would collect their water before they go out and distribute them to various communities. And it's believed that she had just arrived a short while before she was shot. Now, this is the part that that is difficult to ascertain, but the reports indicate that there were two men that were traveling in a red vehicle that pulled up either quite close to her or got off the vehicle and shot her at close range. But either way, medics telling us that she was shot at close range. She was shot multiple times. Reports say that it could have been between 7 and 10 times possibly. She was shot in the head, shot in the upper body. And here's I guess the most worrying part. I've just confirmed this with police. They say that absolutely nothing was taken from her during the shooting. So she was shot here, left for dead. When medics found her, she'd already passed away, but absolutely nothing taken from her. Those suspects sped off. They went back down the road on the way that they allegedly came. And I think one of the saddest pictures is what you're seeing now, that at this distribution point now, just probably 2 hours after she was shot, the reality for these communities shows once again. This is a community that is still without water, and people are already here to collect water from a water tanker. Remember, that was the key responsibility that this official was responsible for. She was overseeing this type of distribution, and it is an area that has been without water since the floods last week, Monday.
Dassen, I can imagine it's a very, very difficult time for this official's family and loved ones learning of her passing in such a violent manner. Do we know if they have been notified yet and whether her name can be made public?
Well, her name hasn't been released just yet. I think all types of precautions need to be taken when it comes to that before these officials are named. Even the municipality putting out a statement a short while ago, but not naming her, just condemning the shooting and saying that they want law enforcement officials to make sure that they track down the killers. And that is something that's going to be imperative here. You know, an interesting observation we made when we got here was just the sheer number of police officers that were deployed to the scene. I think I could have counted more than 25 or 30 police vehicles that were here. Something very unusual when you see a shooting in and around Durban, especially under these types of circumstances where someone is shot here at the roadside. You would hardly ever see that number of police vehicles. It could possibly speak to the extra deployments that were sent to the province in the aftermath of the flooding. I'm noticing a lot of public order policing officers that were here. And I guess one hopes it would be an indication of how seriously this case will be treated, in that if you look at it within the context of KwaZulu-Natal and what's happening now, this is a crucial function. And if you look at the broader context within communities and how many communities are angry for not getting water and water not being supplied via these tankers, I guess it raises a lot of questions about exactly why this official was gunned down here today.
That's obviously people in the background there getting water in preparation for the evening meal, evening household tasks. Their daily routine is continuing. Do they know about the tragedy that unfolded very close to where they are less than a few hours ago?
Not necessarily. Some of them seem to be oblivious to what has happened here. You know, I think for a few that were here earlier, they did see what happened, but unfortunately, they were moved away from the scene. There was a cordon that was put up. But for those that are coming here, as I mentioned earlier, this unfortunately is the reality that, as tragic as it is that someone was gunned down here, there was a woman's body that was lying here just a short while ago. And it's almost as though there's little time to mourn that. It's absolutely horrific if you think about it, that the reality of not having water, at this point, it means that people are more focused on that, and that's what they need to get to, because they need to take care of their families. They need to go home with water back to a place where there's nothing coming out through the taps. And that's why I said, if you look at what's happening in KwaZulu-Natal right now, it really does raise a lot of questions. And I think it also speaks to the level of frustration that communities are facing. I was telling our colleague Tulas earlier that there are so many messages that we are receiving on a daily basis talking about distribution, talking about water tankers, and how it's allegedly not reaching certain areas. And that has created a lot of anxiety in communities and among residents. And many of them, you're also seeing protests that have been popping up in various parts of the city. So it is something that authorities need to get a handle on ASAP, and it's a situation that they really need to bring under control. All of this, obviously, while authorities handle the investigation of the murder of this official and obviously find out the motive behind her killing.
It's fruitless to speculate at such an early stage and possibly hurtful to the victims' family members. But can you tell us a little bit about water and how it's been politicized in this situation? You're saying that certain areas are not getting water while other areas are. Do you think that that dynamic could be playing into the situation, and that could possibly be one of the factors at play behind the murder of this official?
No, certainly early to say, and I think what I think I stressed here is that there are a lot of questions to be answered as to exactly what happened here. The concerning issue is what I mentioned earlier, that there was nothing that was taken here. But I think the police investigation will tell us exactly why she was killed. But separately, to answer your other question about communities not receiving water, those are complaints that we are seeing all over. Remember, there are many communities in Durban currently that are not getting a water supply. Some of them are getting an intermittent water supply. And personally, I'm getting messages every single day from people across Durban in different areas expressing their frustration at not only not getting water, but also not getting water tankers in the area. There've been cases where water tankers have been deployed to an area, but before they can get to those communities, they are stopped and that water is drained out of those tankers. So it doesn't ultimately reach the people that it's meant to go to. So there are all of these dynamics that are playing out in Durban. But one thing is certain, even if the motive is uncertain, one thing is certain, is that there's a lot of frustration among residents right now over this issue of water, and particularly water distribution.
Thank you so much. That was senior reporter Dasan Thathia.